Tania, right?
Present, sir.
Okay. Sanjay, Sanjay, Sankalp,
Present, sir.
okay. Sanket,
Yes, sir.
okay. Shiraj, Shiraj, Shivananda Natikar, Shivananda Natikar, Shraddha, Shraddha, Shubham,
Present, sir.
right? Sumit, Sumit, Suraya Banu,
Present, sir.
okay. Tejas,
Present, sir.
right? Vivek, Vivek, Yamanappa, Yamanappa, गांवकर रजत रामचंद्र, गांवकर रजत रामचंद्र, मंजुनाथ मिल्लीगेरी, मंजुनाथ मिल्लीगेरी, प्रथमेश,
Present, sir.
राइट? जोसलिनो,
Present, sir.
ओके. In the last class, we discussed about how the transistor works as an inverter or how it works as a switch. Is it not? So that we discussed, and also we saw an example, right? So that was the last topic in module 1. Next we will move on to the module 2. Next we'll move on to the module 2, transistor at low frequencies. Are you able to see the screen here? Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Transistor at low frequencies. The transistor behavior can be analyzed at lower frequencies. Low frequencies here, it means less than 1 megahertz. Okay, the frequencies that we are using to study the behavior of the transistor is less than 1 megahertz. If the frequencies are more than 1 megahertz, then the behavior of the transistor is not up to the mark that can be analyzed. But those at above frequencies above 1 megahertz, the parasitic capacitances, right, junction capacitances, all those capacitance will come into picture. So it is better to analyze the behavior of the transistor at lower frequencies, that is at frequencies less than 1 megahertz. What happens if the frequencies are more than 1 megahertz? Above the 1 megahertz frequency, there may be junction capacitances, that is the capacitances developed at the junction of the components. That the capacitance developed at the junction of the capacitance, or there may be some unwanted capacitances in the circuit, okay, which will lead to some deviation in the actual behavior of the transistor or the transistor circuit. That is why it is considered as better to study the or analyze the transistor behavior at lower frequencies, that is at frequencies less than 1 megahertz. That is what is all about. This module is study of the transistor at lower frequencies, or to analyze the transistor behavior at frequencies less than 1 megahertz. Here what we will be considering is we will be mainly concentrating on the AC behavior. In the previous module, we considered the DC analysis. That is, we applied the DC biasing to the circuit and we analyzed, right? And when we applied the DC biasing, the capacitors that were present at the input and output side, those were considered as open circuit. Okay, those were considered as open circuit, and we neglected the capacitances which were at the input and the output. Okay, that is in the DC analysis. That is the DC analysis that was performed in the first module. Now in the second module, it is all about the AC analysis. That is, we are applying the AC input signal and we are studying the how the circuit works or how the circuit behaves for the applied AC input signal. So if we are applying the AC input signal here, then we are developing a equivalent circuit, just as how we developed the DC equivalent circuit. Okay, without the capacitors, then we drew the circuit and then we analyzed the input section, the output section, right? That was in the DC analysis. Similarly, here also we will be drawing the equivalent circuit of the present particular available circuit. We'll convert it into its AC equivalent circuit after applying the AC input signal, and then we will analyze that particular circuit. So this is called as the AC equivalent circuit of the original circuit. Now when this AC equivalent circuit is developed, this particular concept or this particular AC equivalent circuit is called as the model of the transistor or the model of the transistor circuit. Okay, so this model of the transistor, it is meant to understand how the circuit works or how to analyze the circuit. That can be easily understood. Analysis of the circuit can be easily understood. It can be done with the help of this model of the transistor. Now what is this model of the transistor? It is nothing but the AC equivalent circuit. As there was a DC equivalent circuit, similarly there is AC equivalent circuit in module 2, and this AC equivalent circuit is called as the model of the transistor, which gives us the behavior of the transistor after applying the AC input signal to the circuit. There are few notations that are followed in this module, like for DC, if the current is a DC, okay, if the quantities are DC quantities, then what should be the notation? If the quantities are RMS quantities, what should be the notation? So if the quantities are instantaneous values, then what is their notation? So there are few notations that have to be followed in this module so that we will become conversed with that, how the connotations are, or what are these notations. If some notations are used during analysis, then we have to understand whether it is DC current or DC voltage, or whether it is RMS, or whether it is instantaneous value, and accordingly we have to use those notations. Okay, so let us see what are these notations used in the analysis of the amplifier circuits. We know that in the amplifier circuits we come across both DC quantities as well as the AC quantities. Okay, we have discussed in module 1 that the AC signal is not a pure AC signal, but it is a combination of certain DC component also. In the AC signal, there is certain DC component which is also present. So here the DC voltages that are applied, the biasing voltages that are applied, that will give rise to DC voltages and DC currents in the circuit. Whatever biasing voltages are applied, the DC biasing voltages, those will give rise to DC current and DC voltages in the circuit. Whereas the AC input signal that is applied, the AC input signal that is applied, that is giving rise to the AC input voltages and AC currents that are flowing in the circuit. Okay, so it is a combination of both DC quantities as well as the AC quantities. DC voltages and current result from the biasing network, while AC voltages and currents result from the AC input applied to the circuit. Now what is important here is we have to understand clearly what are the DC quantities and what are the AC quantities. Okay, we have to distinguish between DC quantities and AC quantities, so that we'll come to know which are the DC quantities, and accordingly we'll write the equations for those DC quantities. And if they are AC quantities, accordingly we have to write the equations for analysis purpose for that particular circuit. DC quantities are represented by uppercase letter with uppercase subscript. So if you look here, DC quantities. So what are the DC quantities? For example, base current. If it is a DC base current, it is known as I capital, and the subscript is also capital. Both are capital. Similarly, collector current, I capital, the subscript C for the collector, that is also capital. And similarly for the emitter current also. So these represent the DC currents. And few of the voltages based to emitter voltages, that is VBE to emitter voltages, VBE. Okay, the the base to emitter subscript that is used, that is also captive. Similarly, VCE and VCB, collector to base voltage. VCE that is used, this voltage is capital. The CB, that is also capital. So these represent DC voltage between the terminals. Okay. We also discussed the problem analysis of finding the terminal how to find the terminal voltage when we are discussing different biasing circuits. Okay, voltage circuit, emitter bias circuit, okay, fixed bias circuit. We discussed how to find the terminal voltages. Terminal voltages means voltage at the terminals, that is voltage at the emitter terminal B, then collector terminal C, voltage terminal B, all those is in the previous module.
Sir, voice is breaking, sir.
Voice is breaking. 1 minute, I'll just check. Now is it okay? Is it fine? Is it okay now or still it is same? Is voice is okay now or is still the same as the previous? It is breaking still.
Sir, it is breaking.
Voice is okay now? It is breaking. 1 minute, I'll just see. What about now? Is it clear? Now it is clear here? Now is it okay? Voice is okay now? Or still the same thing is persisting? Is it continuing the same thing or is it okay now? Clarity is there?
Sir,
Voice clarity?
Still the same, sir. Same, sir.
Same it is? Okay, there may be something. Why I need to slow down 1 minute. Now see, is it fine now? Abhay,
Sir, it's breaking.
fine now? It's breaking. Maybe something this thing then. I don't know. 1 minute. I'll just check 1 minute. Please don't leave the meeting. Just a minute. I'll check. Don't leave the meeting.
Now just see. Abhay,
Yes, sir. Correct, sir.
correct ಆಯ್ತ್ರೀಗ ಅಭಯ್?
Sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So I was discussing about the notations in the amplifier analysis. Okay, so here we are having the terminal voltages, that with respect to ground, that is VB, VC and VE. Okay, then we also have the notations for the instantaneous values of AC quantities. So these instantaneous values are represented by lowercase letters with lowercase subscripts. For example, if you consider the base current, if it is an instantaneous value, what is meant by instantaneous value? Instantaneous value means the magnitude of that particular quantity at that instant of time. Okay, suppose say we want the magnitude of the signal, say at 5 milliseconds, then that is called as the instantaneous value at 5 milliseconds. The same quantity value, if we want at 10 milliseconds, then it is the instantaneous value of that quantity at 10 milliseconds. Okay, that is what is called as the instantaneous value of the AC quantities. So these instantaneous values are represented by lowercase letter with lowercase subscripts. For example, for the base current, it is lowercase is I and then its subscript is small b. Okay, and similarly for the collector current, I and with small c. Emitter current, I small I and subscript is small e. Then for the voltages, that is base to emitter voltage, small v, that is lowercase letter small v, then VE, VCB, current instantaneous voltages between the terminals, in between the various emitter, base and collector terminals. Then the terminal voltages with respect to ground, that is base voltage with respect to ground, the lower case is V and smaller, that is subscript is also small b. Similarly VC and VE, these represent terminal voltages with respect to ground. Then later come to the RMS values. RMS values of AC quantities are the ones which are represented by uppercase letter with this lowercase subscript. They are represented by uppercase letter with the lowercase subscripts. For example, the base current, capital I current, okay, and base current, it is represented by small b. Similarly, collector current, capital I for current, small c for the collector terminal. Okay, like this, and similarly for the emitter current. These represent RMS current values or the RMS values. We know that RMS quantity is obtained as, how is the RMS quantity obtained? First we are taking the square of the numbers, square of the values, various values, then we are taking the mean of those values. Mean, that is we are dividing by the total number of values. Square of the values, we are taking the sum of them, sum of the square of the different values, then divided by total number of values, and then taking the square root of that value obtained. That is the root mean square. Go in the reverse order, square, then mean, then root. Okay, that is how we are obtaining the root mean square values of the AC quantities. Now, for example, if we take the IRMS, so this IRMS is given by Im by root 2 in terms of the maximum value. The root mean square value is given by IRMS is equal to Im by root 2. So that is the relation between the RMS value and the maximum value. Okay. Now, if we want to, these are about the notations, right? Then if we want to operate the transistor as an amplifier, if you want to operate the transistor as an amplifier, the transistor must be biased in the linear region or in the active region. It should be always in the linear region or in the active region of the characteristic or of the output characteristics, right? When we were studying in the previous module, we took the various operating points. One operating point we took at the near the saturation, another operating point we took at the cutoff region, correct? And the one with the operating point at the center, that is at the in the active region or in the linear region, that is considered to be the best operating point. Okay, it is because the entire range of the input signal is amplified, and the stability of the Q point is also high in the linear region or in the active region. Okay, and we get faithful amplification or good amplification of the applied input signal in the active region or in the linear region. So if you want to operate a transistor as amplifier, it is always suggested or recommended that the transistor should be biased in the linear region or in the active region. If you want to operate the transistor in the active region, emitter base junction should always be forward biased and base collector junction should be reverse biased. Now the forward based emitter base junction of transistor, this is similar to the PN junction. It is similar to the forward biased PN junction of the diode. The forward biased emitter base junction of the transistor is similar to the forward biased PN junction of the diode. Okay, this point also we have come across in our previous module. Okay, when we are studying the basics of the module, we discussed that the emitter base junction of a forward biased transistor is similar to the forward biased PN junction of the diode. The AC resistance of the PN junction diode, okay, AC resistance is for the applied AC input signal. Okay, the AC component of the input signal, for that if we analyze and if you find the resistance, that is the AC resistance. So this AC resistance is given by the formula 26 millivolt divided by the diode current, 26 millivolt divided by ID. So this equation comes from the formula called as the Shockley equation. Shockley's equation for the diode. Okay, so this Shockley's equation is given by here we consider the Shockley equation, then it is given by the formula ID is equal to, that is ID diode current is equal to IS, it is reverse current or the reverse saturation current of the diode, multiplied by e raised to only exponent e raised to VD, it is e raised to VD diode voltage VD, this divided by eta VT, VD divided by eta VT, this eta VT, okay, it is given by eta value, eta into Vt, eta Vt, Vt into Vt, that is thermal voltage. Id is equal to Is into e raised to Is into e raised to Vd upon eta Vt. Okay, eta Vt Vd diode voltage divided by Et eta into Vt, eta into Vt thermal voltage, Vt thermal voltage. Okay, this minus 1, this is minus 1. This is the equation. Id is equal to Is into Id is the diode current, Is is the reverse current or the reverse saturation current, into e raised to Vd is the diode. E is called the ideality factor. Ideality factor is how many carriers are recombining at the junction. That is given by this eta. Eta in Vt. Vt is the thermal voltage. The thermal voltage of the diode. So this Vt is given by, Vt is further given by Vt, it is given by thermal voltage, Boltzmann constant K into T, this divided by Q, Kt, this divided by the K is the Boltzmann constant, T is the temperature of the diode, and divided by Q, this divided by Q. Q is the charge of the electron. Okay. So this particular equation is called as Shockley equation. It's called as the Shockley equation or Shockley's equation. Shockley's equation. Now this equation, Shockley's equation, if we differentiate with respect to this Vd, diode voltage, okay, and on further simplification, then the final equation that we get is the final equation on differentiation. The final equation will be, that is the AC resistance RAC will be equal to 26 millivolt divided by ID. Just divided by ID. This will be the equation if we simplify the equation here, 26 millivolt divided by ID. Okay. This is how we are getting RAC is 26 millivolt by ID from this basic equation of the Shockley's equation. ID is equal to Is into e raised to beta Vt minus 1. Okay, and this 26 millivolt is the thermal voltage. From the thermal voltage, we are getting this 26 millivolt of the diode thermal voltage. Okay, that is this voltage that is voltage of the diode at the particular temperature T, that is given by this 26 millivolt, a typical value. Okay, that is RAC is equal to 26 millivolt divided by ID. That is how we are getting this formula. So that is a formula that I have written here. RAC is equal to 26 millivolt divided by ID, where ID is the DC current through the diode at the quiescent point. At the Q point, or the quiescent point, the DC current that is through the diode is ID. Okay. Now in this equation, this is the equation for the diode that we have. Now if we want to write the equation for the transistor, so this diode current I can replace by emitter current. Yes or no? This diode current, if I replace by the emitter current, then it will give me the equation for the AC resistance of the transistor, because the PN junction of the diode, which is forward biased, it is equivalent to the forward biased emitter base forward biased of the transistor, and hence I can replace this ID of the equation by the emitter current. ID of the equation can be replaced by the emitter current. So that is 26 millivolt by IE, where IE is the DC emitter current at Q point and it is in milliampere. So from this we are getting the equation RE is equal to 26 millivolt by IE. Hope you are following here, students. Are you following here? Yes? Are you following here, students? Are you following what I am teaching here? Yes? Students?
Yes, sir.
Following, right? Okay, right. Next is two-port network. So this is all the introduction part of this module, right? Whatever I am explaining today. Two-port network. Okay, from the name itself, we will understand that it is having two ports, dual port. One is the input port or the input terminal. Okay, so these are the input terminals what we are having, input terminals here at the input side, and other one is the output terminal or the output terminal. Okay, so the current which is flowing into the input, that is the input current II. The current, the voltage at which is at the input terminals, it is VI. Then the output current is I0, which is at the output terminal, and the voltage at the output terminal is V0. So we have input current II, input voltage Vi through the circuit, into the circuit, and output current I0 and output voltage V0 from the circuit. So such a circuit is called as the two-port network. Two-port network. A two-port network, as the name suggests, that it has two ports. One is the input port and the output port, as shown in this figure. A port consists of two terminals. This port is characterized by two currents. One is the input current II, output current I0. Two voltages, input voltage Vi and output voltage V0. II is the input current, I0 is output current, Vi is input voltage, and V0 is the output voltage. Now, if you look into this figure, right, II is shown. So if you see here, II is shown into the circuit. That is okay. Now I0 is also shown into the circuit. Usually what we draw the direction of the output as away from the circuit, is it not? But here it is into the circuit. When we come to the analysis, we will understand that how it is into the circuit, because the collector current is beta times the base current. That is why the current is shown flowing into the circuit here. IC is beta times IB. Therefore, the I0 current is shown as into the circuit. We will come to know that how it is into the circuit when we do the analysis part. I will explain there. Okay. By convention, II and I0 are assumed to be into the network. Now, when we come to the transistor part, a BJT which has three terminals, a BJT or a bipolar junction transistor has three terminals. This can also be modeled as a two-port network. That is, we can draw the BJT transistor circuit in this form as a two-port network. In this form as a two-port network. That is input port and the output port for the transistor circuit. As one of the terminal can be considered as a common terminal between the input and the output, we can have three configurations of the transistor circuit. A transistor has how many terminals? A transistor has how many terminals? Yes. Transistor has how
Three.
many terminals? Three. You are right. Emitter, base, and the collector. Is it not? So if we consider one terminal common, then other two terminals, one terminal will be for input, other terminal for the output. One terminal is common between the input and the output. Okay. So with this, we will be having three configurations. That is one common terminal, one for the input, one terminal for the input, and another terminal for the output. Based on this, we are having three types of BJT amplifiers. One is common emitter amplifier, where the emitter terminal is common between input and output. Common base amplifier, the base terminal is common between the input and output. And finally, common collector amplifier, where the collector terminal is common between the input and the output. So we are having these three types of amplifiers: common emitter amplifier, common base amplifier, and common collector amplifier. If we want to analyze the AC operation of a transistor amplifier, then that AC analysis is done with the AC equivalent circuit, as we discussed at the beginning, which is called as the model of the transistor. So this model of the transistor, it is a combination of the circuit elements, and this modeling is done at a particular operating condition. Okay, when we are performing this modeling, or when we are performing the analysis of the transistor circuit, it is done at a particular circuit conditions, at particular operating conditions. Okay, to determine the actual behavior of the transistor. If we want to analyze the input output behavior of the transistor, that is, if we want to have a linear relation between input and output of the transistor circuit, then it is better to go for the small signal operation of the transistor. Okay, it is better to operate the transistor circuit with the small signal. Now here the small signal means the AC signal magnitude of the AC signal quantities in the circuit is less as compared to the DC biasing quantities in the circuit. Such signals are called as small signals. The meaning of small signals is the value of, or the magnitude of the AC quantities in the circuit, that is the magnitude of AC voltage or the AC current in the circuit, is less as compared to the DC current and DC voltages in the circuit. So such of the signals are called as small signals. We will be analyzing the input output relation of the transistor with the usage of this small signal which are present in the circuit. So this small signal operation also means that applied AC input signal causes slight variation. It causes small change in the output voltage and currents with respect to the operating point. When the input AC signal is applied to the transistor circuit, the change in the output voltage and the current is less with respect to the operating point. Okay, with respect to the operating point, the change that is happening at the output voltage and the output current is less, and hence it is also called as small signal operation. It causes a small variation in output current and voltages about the Q point or the quiescent point. At the lower frequencies, the junction capacitances, as I was discussing about the junction capacitances, that is the capacitances which are present at the junction of the components in the circuit. The various components that we are using in the circuit, at the junction of these components, it may be resistor, it may be the junction of the terminal of the transistor and the resistor, or it may be the junction of one of the transistor terminals and the capacitor. Okay, these junction capacitances are open circuit because of the lower frequencies. As the AC input signal that we are applying is a low frequency signal, less than 1 megahertz, right? So because of the lower frequencies, we know the formula XC is equal to 1 upon omega C. Okay, XC is 1 upon omega C, or XC is 1 upon 2 pi FC, correct? XC is equal to 1 upon omega C, 1 divided by omega C, it is omega C, okay, or that is also equal to 1 divided by 2 pi FC, 1 divided by 2 pi FC, 1 divided by 2 pi FC. Now as this frequency is less, the reactance, okay, when we are considering the DC analysis, what we consider the frequency as? Yes, please. For the DC analysis, what was the frequency that we considered there? For DC analysis, what is the frequency?
0.
F is equal to how much for DC analysis? 0. Very right. Okay, you are right. So F is 0. F is 0. So if F is 0, then Xc will be infinite. Okay, very high reactance. That is why we consider the capacitors present at the input and output as open circuit. Okay, but here for the AC analysis, there is some frequency present. There is some frequency present, say F1 or F2, whatever it may be. Some frequency signal is present. Because of this, some reactance is there, not high reactance, some reactance is there. Therefore, now for the AC analysis, the capacitors act like a short circuit. So for low frequencies here, we are talking about the junction capacitances. So for the junction capacitances, because of the low frequency value, the reactance will be high, Xc will be high, Xc will be high, Xc will be high. So as Xc is high, again the junction capacitances are considered as open circuit. Junction capacitances are considered as open circuit because of the low frequency value. Okay. So F is low, not 0, but F is low. Therefore, Xc is still high, not infinite, but still high. Therefore, the junction capacitances, okay, they are considered as open circuit. Junction capacitances are considered as open circuit. As these junction capacitances are open circuit, so these junction capacitances are neglected when we are analyzing the circuit. So when we are analyzing the circuit for the small signal AC modeling of the transistor circuit, we are neglecting the junction capacitances effect. The effect of the junction capacitance is neglected because they result in open circuit, and hence the junction capacitances are neglected. There are two types of models of the transistor. One is called as the hybrid model, another one is called as the RE model. Now, what is the difference between hybrid model and RE model? In the hybrid model, it considers the operation of the transistor, the behavior of the transistor at the terminals. Okay, it is not bothered about what goes inside of the transistor. What is the process that is happening inside the transistor? That it will not bother about that. What it matters is it considers what is happening only at the terminals of the transistor. So that is taken care by the hybrid model. Okay, but RE model is the more practical model. It is the most practical model in terms of practicality. It is considered as suitable one. RE model is a suitable one. Why it is suitable is it is considered as at the particular operating conditions. If you want to analyze the transistor analysis, if you want to perform the transistor analysis, then we can perform the transistor analysis at specific operating conditions. At a particular operating condition, how it behaves. That precision, high accuracy can be obtained with the RE model. So that is why RE model is considered as the more practical model. The RE model of this is the important parameter RE of this model is determined by the operating conditions rather than using the datasheet values. If we use the hybrid model, then the hybrid model makes use of the datasheet provided by the manufacturer. The datasheet which has the different values for the various quantities of the circuit. Okay, those typical values of all the components. Okay, it may be current gain. Okay, or the reverse current of the transistor. So all those values are given by the manufacturer in the data sheet, right? But for when we are analyzing with the RE modeling, where we are finding the AC resistance or the RE resistance of the transistor, there we are not referring to the data sheet. We are bothered about the particular operating conditions that are existing at that particular for the analysis of that particular circuit. Okay, that is the difference between hybrid model and the RE model. So both these hybrid model and the RE model, they are for the small signal low frequency models. Both are for the small signal analysis. So it is for the frequencies less than 1 megahertz. But if we consider the hybrid pi model, there is one more model called as the hybrid pi model. Hybrid pi model. So this is for the high frequency analysis. That is for frequencies greater than 1 megahertz. If the frequencies are greater than 1 megahertz, then they make use of hybrid pi modeling for the analysis of the transistor circuits. This is the circuit of the common emitter fixed bias configuration. common emitter fixed bias configuration. Now, what all circuits we studied in the first module, the same circuits we are studying, but with the AC analysis. There we dealt with the DC analysis part, but here we are analyzing the AC analysis of the same circuits. We know the common emitter configuration. How is the common emitter configuration? Emitter terminal is grounded, right? This common emitter configuration, the biasing is applied to the base terminal. Biasing is applied to the base terminal here, right? We have RB and RC resistance. RB and RC resistance. Okay, biasing is applied to the base terminal. We have RB and RC resistance, right? And collector capacitor, coupling capacitor at the output, one coupling capacitor at the input. We are applying the input signal to this VI. The current that is flowing is II, input current. The output voltage is V0, that is taken at the collector terminal. At the collector terminal, the output voltage V0 and the output impedance is Z0. So output impedance is the impedance seen from the output terminals. If you look from the output terminals, that is between collector to emitter, how much is the resistance of the transistor circuit? That is called as the output impedance. Similarly, if we want the input impedance, it is how much is the resistance present between the input terminals of the transistor circuit. That is between base to emitter terminal, how much is the resistance that is present. If you are looking into the circuit, into the input, what is the resistance in between the base and the emitter terminal? Okay, that is called as the input resistance or the input impedance of the circuit. Similarly, the output impedance is the impedance or the resistance seen from the output terminals, that is between the collector to emitter terminals. Now, when we analyze this common emitter fixed bias configuration here, as I told, it is AC analysis. AC analysis. For AC analysis, okay. Now, for DC analysis, we consider the input coupling capacitors, that capacitors present in the input and output as 0. Okay, open circuit. Okay, but here we have to consider them as short circuit because there is some frequency present, and because of this some certain frequency, there is some resistance that is present. Okay, some resistance that is present, that is considered as the short circuit. If the frequency is completely 0, that is for DC analysis, it is acting like a infinite resistance or open circuit. But if some frequency is present, then these coupling capacitors behave as if they are a short circuit. Okay, so that is why these coupling capacitors at the input and output, they are considered as the short circuit for the AC analysis. Okay, then see here the VCC is connected here. Okay, this VCC is a DC voltage. Okay, so this DC voltage also does not exist because it is AC analysis. That is why this VCC is considered as 0 here. So if VCC is 0, that means it is connected to ground, as good as connecting it to ground. Therefore, in this circuit, as you can observe, the VCC is connected to ground. VCC is connected to ground here. And this is the current, output current that is flowing into the collector terminal, and the output voltage V0 that is taken from the collector terminal. Input impedance Zi, as I told just now, and the output impedance Z0. Now this base resistance, if we are seeing here, this is present in between the base terminal and the ground. Yes or no? The base resistance RB, it is present between the base terminal and the ground terminal. Base terminal and the ground. Okay. So we can represent here this RB as present between the base terminal and the ground. Okay. What about the collector resistance RC? It is also present between the collector terminal and the ground. If you look into this particular circuit, the RC resistance is present between the collector terminal and the ground. Therefore, this RC is represented at the output here between the collector terminal and the ground. So rest all are same. That is the input voltage, input current II to the circuit, input impedance Zi. Okay. Then the output current I0 that is flowing into the collector terminal because IC is equal to beta times IB, right? And the output impedance Z0 seen from the output terminals. Now this particular circuit, we are converting it. This is the AC equivalent circuit. Okay. So first this is the original circuit, common emitter fixed bias configuration. Because as it is a AC analysis, we are considering VCC as 0. The coupling capacitors are short circuit, and because of this is the resulting circuit. Now in this resulting circuit, RB is between base to ground, RC is between collector to ground. So we are representing like this. Okay. And the final model of this common emitter fixed bias configuration, this is called as the model of the common emitter fixed bias configuration. Now if we want to represent this circuit in this particular model, in this particular model of the circuit. Now how it is represented? Let us see. RB is same. Okay. So the RB which is present here, that is same. So we have the same RB which is present at the input. Then at the base to emitter terminal, we are getting this beta RE, beta into RE. Okay. So this beta into RE is obtained from the equation. That is, if we look into this equation of the RE, that is RE is equal to 26 millivolt by IE. Okay. So RE is 26 millivolt by IE. RE, it is 26 millivolt divided by IE, Okay. Now what is IE, students? IE is beta plus 1 into IB. Is it not? IE is beta plus 1 into IB. We know the equation for emitter current in terms of current gain and the, that is base current. It is 26 millivolt. This divided by what we have here. This is divided by beta plus 1, beta plus 1 into IB, correct? Base current, IB is the base current. Now if beta is larger than 1, beta is around 100, typical value. So this can be considered as simply, this is equal to 26 millivolt, this divided by beta IB, this divided by beta IB, beta IB. Beta into IB. Okay. Because beta is very much larger than 1, so it is beta IB. Now beta into RE. Okay, so this RE is here. Now this equation I can write it as here. That is beta RE, beta into RE. This is equal to beta into RE. Beta into RE, this is equal to 26 millivolt, this divided by IB, 26 millivolt divided by IB, this divided by IB. So you have to know how these equations come here. Okay, how the different components come in the model. Beta RE is equal to 26 millivolt divided by IB. Okay. So this is beta RE, 26 millivolt by IB, that is voltage divided by current, that is the resistance. That is why here it is represented as, at the base terminal, if you look into this circuit, the base terminal, it is represented as beta into RE, here, beta RE, okay. That is how we are getting this beta RE at the base terminal, okay, because of this equation, it is beta RE is equal to 26 millivolt by IB, and the current is IB. To this resistance beta RE. Now let us look at the output side. This is at the input side, the base terminal. Okay. Then what is about the collector terminal? That is at the output terminal. So if you look into the output terminal, RC is same. Okay. This is RC here. RC is same. That is same here. RC. Then some resistance exists at the output because of this collector to emitter terminal and the collector current flowing. That is the output resistance. So it is taken as R0 here. Okay, R0. Input resistance is not shown because it is negligible. So input resistance is not shown. Only output resistance is, some suitable amount of output resistance is present. That is why output resistance is represented here. But input resistance is not represented because it is negligible and it is neglected. Okay, only the RB resistance, that itself is the input resistance here, RB. Okay. Then R0, some resistance at the output terminals between collector to emitter, that is represented as R0. And the collector current, we know that IC is equal to beta into IB. Okay, IC is equal to beta into IB. Therefore, this current here, IC, which is flowing from the collector, because we know that IE is equal to IB plus IC. Correct, students? IE is IB plus IC. Emitter current is the sum of base current and the collector current. Therefore, this collector current is taken as flowing in the downward direction, because you see the direction of the arrow mark here, emitter current direction is flowing downwards. So emitter current is sum of base current and collector current. Therefore, the direction of the collector current is taken into the collector terminal here. That is why it is shown into the circuit. That's what I told when I was discussing about a two-port network. The output current direction is into the circuit. It is shown as into the circuit here, IC, because IC is equal to beta times IB. Right? This is the output current and this is the collector current that is flowing. IC is equal to beta times IB, and the output impedance is Z0. Okay, so all these are taken from the terminal to ground. Okay, from the terminal respective base terminal to ground. Here also collector terminal to ground. Okay, output RC, collector terminal to ground. R0 also from collector to ground. Okay, they are represented here. So this is called as the RE model of the common emitter fixed bias configuration. RE model of the common emitter fixed bias configuration. Okay, so it is called as RE model because we are representing in terms of the emitter resistance. We have considered the equation RE is equal to 26 millivolt divided by ID, and based on that equation we have used the components, we have drawn the components in the circuit, and hence this type of circuit, this type of model AC equivalent circuit of the common emitter fixed bias configuration is called as the RE model of the common emitter fixed bias configuration. Is it clear here, students? Are you following here, students? Yes, please. Are you following here? Yes. Did you follow here, students? This RE model, how we are getting this? Is it understood?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear? Okay. Ankita, is it understood? Ankita? Ankita Hattioli? Clear? This model, how you are getting RE model, understood? Procedure? Okay. Harsh Gowda, is it understood here? How we are getting this? Harsh Gowda?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sure, sir.
Fine. Ratan? Birji?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Understood this, how the procedure of how we are getting this model? Okay. Shubham, is it understood? Shubham?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Clear with this? Okay. Suraya Banu?
Yes,
Suraya
sir.
Banu?
Understood, sir.
Understood. Any questions here?
No, sir.
From any of you all? Any questions, any doubts? If you have any questions, any doubts, you can ask. If you have any problem in understanding? Any of you all, any problem in understanding here?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. Pratmesh, is it understood? Pratmesh Patil? Pratmesh? Joslino, is it clear here? Joslino? Sanket, is it understood?
Yes, sir.
Clear with this procedure, how we are doing the model, how we are getting this steps?
Yes, sir.
Clear, understood? Because all the next part, whatever we are doing, it is based on this only. Fundamental, this is all the fundamental. Whatever we are doing, the next part, analysis part, that is based on this RE model, how we are getting. So if you perfectly understand this, then the later parts will become easy. Okay. So any questions here? Any questions? Understood, right? Sure? Understood? Abhay? Joshi? Prajwal Gowda? Sure, understood. Prajwal Gowda? Okay. In the next class, I will be explaining the hybrid model. We'll discuss the fundamental of that, and then we will go ahead with the RE modeling. Okay, that we'll take up in the next class. Thank you.